An important life lesson that I learned as a band roadie. Now, the obvious lesson you learn as a roadie is to be really careful. It's so easy to hurt yourself. And I have hurt myself a few times. I've done things like take a step backwards and fall backwards off stage. I have walked right into stage trussing and bashed myself in the head with that stuff. I've reached my hand into dark, deep holes and got electrocuted. But there was one time I really hurt myself pretty badly, and it taught me an important lesson. And this lesson has nothing to do with really being careful or anything to do with the music business or entertainment industry. It's a life lesson. I was contracted to help a band with sound, and so I arrive at the venue, which was a large bar restaurant, several hours before the show. And I'm the first one on scene. And so I pull up my big truck and I start unloading all this stuff and I start getting the stage set up for this evening's performance. And I bring in all kinds of heavy, big stuff, subwoofers and racks full of stuff. And I get all of this stuff pulled into the venue and I'm starting to set up the stage. And I realize that I'm missing a cable. For this particular setup, I needed a cable that was a bit unusual that I normally don't drag out of the truck. It was an adapter cable, no big deal, and it's out in the truck. So I head out to the truck and I throw open the back door, climb up inside, and take a look at my situation here. And I have the truck full of PA and music gear, all sorts of big speaker cabinets stacked up and electronics in racks, totes full of cables, lighting fixtures, trussing, the whole nine. And I only pull out from the truck the stuff that I need for that particular show, so 2/3 of the truck is still full of gear. And I realize that the cable I need is in a tote box that's way up at the front of the truck. But between me and the front of the truck is a whole bunch of large speaker cabinets and equipment racks and stuff. And there's no way that I can squirrel along the side and get up to the front. So my option is either to unload all of that stuff out of the truck. I'm not going to do that. Or to crawl up there and crawl over all this stuff to go get that tote box with a cable in it. So obviously I decide to crawl up there. Now on top of all of the cabinets that are in the truck are a bunch of pieces of cardboard because I kept a whole bunch of scrap cardboard around. So between each big speaker cabinet or equipment cabinet, I would slip in a piece of cardboard. So as we're going down the road and things are bouncing around a little bit, the cabinets don't get too terribly scuffed up. And as I unloaded the gear for tonight's performance, I just took those pieces of cardboard that was separating the equipment and threw them up on top. So I climb up on top of the equipment, and now I'm up about 5 feet in the air or so. It's pretty large boxes, and I'm crawling on top of the cardboard that I had thrown up there. And I start crawling towards the front of the truck, and suddenly I fall. And what had happened was that I thought I was crawling on top of all these cabinets with a piece of cardboard on top of them, and I was. But at some point, the cabinets ended, and the cardboard did not. And so when I started crawling out onto that cardboard that went beyond the edge of the cabinets, well, there was nothing there to support me, and gravity took over. And I fell face forward to the floor of the truck about 5 feet. Fortunately, my fall was broken by my face, which crashed into a bunch of lighting equipment, which were lighting controllers that were metal boxes with sharp edges and a bunch of cabling. And it happened so fast. It's like one moment everything's fine, and the next moment my feet are pointing at the sky and my face is in the bottom of the truck, and I'm seeing stars, and it's pretty shocking. And I lay there for a second trying to get my bearings as to what the heck just happened, and oh my gosh, this hurts. And I'm stuck here with a crooked neck and my feet pointing at the ceiling. And I realized that my hands are killing me because somehow in the process I had tried to break my fall and I bent all my fingers back way further than they were designed to go. And initially I thought maybe I broke all my fingers. I couldn't move my hands, but I didn't break anything. It soon realized that I just sprained everything. So I laid there on the floor for a moment, and overwhelming thought hit my mind of the show must go on. I got to shake this off and get on with the show. So I crawl around and try to get myself off of my face and onto my feet, dig around for a moment, find the cable, and find my way back and out of the truck. And I'm one hurting unit, but the show must go on. And so I go back into the venue, connect that cable up, spend the next 20 or 30 minutes finishing up the setup for the stage, do a quick check to make sure all the equipment's working. And the bar had a whole bunch of people in it. It was a pretty busy evening or afternoon. And I'm kind of moving around to and fro and getting everything set up and hooked up and tested out. And after a little while, I had decided that the show was probably going to go on. All the equipment was working okay. And so I was hurting pretty bad. And I thought, I got to shake this and maybe I'll feel better after I have a bite to eat. So there was still enough time before the band showed up. And I was thinking that I think I'll order myself something to eat and kind of chill out for a little bit, wait for the show to come on. And at which point I wander over to the restroom and to use the restroom and to wash my hands off after handling all that dirty stuff. And I go over to the sink and I wash my hands off and I look up and oh my goodness, my face was just beat. And I had blood all over my face and bruises, and I had a dribble of blood coming down off my forehead. I didn't even realize it. And so I did my best to wash myself up. Wow. Now, the thing that surprised me was that for the last 30 or 45 minutes, I was wandering around inside of this venue, and there were a lot of people there. And I was walking past people and moseying here to there, and a lot of people saw me. And not a single person in the venue took a look at me in my condition and said anything. Not a one of them. Nobody said, "Man, dude, you okay?" Or, "Wow, boy, it looks like you had a fight with a truck and the truck won. You doing all right?" Or, "Hey, man, maybe you should wash that off, huh?" No, not a single comment from anyone. And I don't recall even getting a look twice from anyone. Everybody just went about their business, acted like I was totally normal, even though I looked like I was an extra in a horror movie. Yeah. Nobody cares. And that was the lesson that I took away from this. My first takeaway was, you got to be careful, like real careful in this business, because bad things can happen so easily. But after I thought about it for a while, the more important lesson is nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. Not at all. Now, sure, your family, you might have a few good friends who actually care. You might have a friend who's a good enough friend that you can call them from the jail and they might come down and bail you out. But by and large, the people out there, they got their own problems to worry about. They're not too worried about yours. And if they do notice and say something to you, it's probably more about them than it is about you. And so nobody cares. And that's kind of a sad thing to consider, that, we as humans, we as people, we just don't care about each other. But the empowering part of it is that nobody cares. So if you want to do something, do it. As long as it falls within your ethical parameters, of course. I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything harmful to somebody else, but so many people are afraid to reach out and do the things that they want to do because they're so concerned about what somebody else might think. You know, people say, I think it'd be kind of interesting to start a YouTube channel, but what would my family say? What would my friends say? I can tell you what they're going to say. Nothing. They don't care. Or people who have some piece of fashion that they like, and they're concerned that, well, I really like this, but somebody might say that it's ugly or it might not really be in fashion. Hey, if you want to wear the fanny bag, I say rock that stuff. Be yourself and just do it. Because nobody really cares. And if somebody does point it out and somebody goes, that's really out of style, okay. But they're not going to severely judge you for it if, you know, they're just another random person walking by. They don't care. They don't care about you. So you be you. Just express yourself. Have the courage to throw it out there. Because you probably don't really care what somebody else wears or thinks or does. And they don't care about what you think or do either. So don't let yourself be held back by this notion that somebody might judge you. People are going to judge you, but there isn't really that much gravity or weight to it because they don't care. And that was a big lesson to me, which is perhaps a little sobering that people are just so wrapped up in their own lives, they're not too worried about yours. But it's really liberating, and it gives you a lot of freedom once you realize that, hey, you be you. It's going to be all right. And if somebody doesn't like it, well, that's their choice, and that's on them. But something that people do seem to be attracted to are people who are just comfortable with themselves. And so, you know, if you want to wear the fanny pack, and you can boldly rock that and say, I like it. It's my fanny pack, and it's really convenient, and it suits me fine. And I don't care what the fashion is. I'm years ahead of the fashion. You just watch. And people are attracted to that kind of energy. So that's my lesson in life is be bold. Just be yourself. Don't worry about what anybody thinks because chances are they don't. So my advice is be yourself, rock your world, do what makes you happy, and don't worry too much about what somebody else might think about what you're doing. Now, of course, I encourage you to be kind and be generous and do things that are in your best interest and the best interest of the common good. But be bold, be yourself, and don't be afraid of what somebody else might say in their petty judgment. Also, of course, be careful. Be really careful because bad things can happen fast and it can really hurt. So try to avoid pain and future regret. And finally, subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. So thanks for hanging out and watching the video. I hope to catch you again on another one. Take care.